All right. Welcome to another episode of Do Hard Things. It's an ongoing series of conversations exploring real world experiences of leaders, the people who are building their businesses as careers, as sellers, consultants, and consumers of the cloud. We seek out builders and visionaries everywhere, and we will discuss a wide variety of topics. It's people that do hard things and people who will be the focus as we explore motivation, passion, obsession, and how they get inspired, and more importantly, how they inspire others to do amazing things. And today, we're talking to the leaders of two partners who work together: Collin Graves, the founder of North Labs and an AWS Consulting Partner, and Patrick Navarro, Executive Vice President of JeffersonFrank, a global leader in AWS Recruitment and an AWS Technology Partner. Collin and Patrick, thank you for joining us today, and welcome to Do Hard Things.
That's a pleasure. Thanks, Mike.
Likewise, thanks.
Thank you very much for joining us. We've also got Chip Pieper here, and Chip is working with me on how we're going to combine maybe some point of view perspectives on how these partners engage with each other, and also help to talk about how we can deliver messages to our customers and anyone who's interested in learning a little bit about maybe the technology behind some of these solutions that our partners are delivering. And generally, Chip is the guy that ends up keeping these things going. So we really appreciate you being here, Chip, joining us today.
Why, thank you.
Okay, guys, just kind of to get this thing rolling, I thought I would get a little bit of background between or behind both of you, Collin, yourself, and Patrick at JeffersonFrank, on how you ended up in the roles that you're in today. Why don't we just start with that?
Sure, I'll kick us off. Collin Graves, I've been in the cloud space, but particularly with AWS. Sorry for the background noise here. They didn't tell me they're going to be doing construction. I've been in the AWS space since 2007. I started and sold another APN consultancy back in the day, but really started learning about the cloud when I was serving in the military. I was actually flying around on airplanes and didn't have any responsibilities while we were flying. Tooling around Africa and Eastern Europe with special forces. And started learning about AWS. It was actually my father, who is not the most tech forward man in the world, who first told me about AWS and said, "Have you heard about this thing? I think it's pretty awesome." And I started learning and got hooked. I was an early, fully certified engineer, and now I get to do what I love every day. It's been 13 going on 14 years, and it seems like we're just getting started.
Incredible. Great story. Patrick?
Yeah, also probably a more unconventional route into the technology space. Coming from a recruiting background, I actually started doing archaic ERP recruiting a decade ago, and first taste of cloud software in the form of Salesforce. And stayed on the software side through a number of different applications and brands that we were able to spin up. And about 5 years ago, really saw the opportunity within AWS. Had been eyeing it for a number of years. It was so big, we were trying to figure out how do we tackle it. So spent some time, put some investment in, and have been within the AWS space ever since.
I think that what we're talking about here is something that's not all that easy to do, which is partnering with partners. And there's a lot of difficulty just understanding how to align goals and objectives of both companies, and forget about the fact that you're two totally different types of partners. JeffersonFrank would be considered an AWS technology partner, and North Labs would be considered an AWS consulting partner. And while I find that the idea makes sense, the execution is often quite difficult. And what I thought we could do is talk about how you are approaching partnering together to deliver a solution, a way for people to engage in the cloud And I think it's wholly appropriate to dive into this on something called Do Hard Things.
Yeah, I guess I'll start on that. And I actually being in the technology partner channel, I actually feel it provides us and all technology partners a great opportunity to not just partner with consulting partners, such as Collin, but also other technology partners that don't play directly in your space. AWS is so broad. If you focus on data, why not look at a preferred security solution, or start to build out your network within the technology channel. That's the one piece of advice I would definitely give in my journey in the channel. And then obviously, working with the other consulting partners, it's just always go in with the potential value add, and kind of segue that off over to Collin on that note.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that consulting partners can do to win in this space right now is to specialize. And technology partners have known that for a while. ISVs, by nature of kind of who they are, have to specialize. But I think historically, you see consulting partners come in with a very rough-grained paintbrush and try and be all things to all people. And I think really what we're seeing within the APN is a really great segmenting around specialization. And so, we come in with a lot of opinions at North Labs, right? We're one of the last remaining AWS pure plays, as people like to call them, where we focus only on AWS and not any of our other cloud platforms out there. And that may seem like specialization enough, but actually, I think you have to focus down more. And so, what I'm trying to get at is, the ability to stack solutioning, and maybe we'll talk about this a little bit more, Mike, but the ability to stack solutions with other ISVs, of course, but with other consulting partners as well, is oftentimes the most advantageous route when it comes to delivering in the name of customer obsession, right? Each consulting partner has its own superpower. Each ISV has its own superpower. And if you allow yourself the ability to work with other groups, you really kind of get the best of all worlds, the best of all pieces. And I think ultimately the end deliverable is a lot stronger.
I think you're hitting the nail on the head with your approach. And I'm really interested in how you have figured out a way to approach your business this way. And I'd like to know how you've seen it succeed. The feedback that I get from sellers within AWS and people that want to learn how to engage with partners is that there is some difficulty in understanding how to differentiate partners. And there is this idea that you have to be a jack of all trades and be able to do everything to everybody. But the challenge is you lose the ability to add value to, for example, an industry play, or to deliver a solution that you're particularly good at. Rather than you can do, it's more about what you will do, I think, that will make a big impact on the customer. And I would love to see how you're able to actually approach your business in a way where you do specialize and not feel like you're limiting yourself from future business.
Yeah, that's always the concern, right? I help mentor a lot of groups in the IT services space the main objection you hear when you talk about specialization is, well, I'm going to run out of people to sell to. And the four of us on this call know that, especially in terms of the cloud, there's no such thing. We are just getting ready to exit the early adopter category, and we're just in the distance starting to see the wave crest in terms of the early majority. What I've found, and this is, take it with a grain of salt, it's just my perspective. What I've found is that the more specialized a group is in terms of its delivery propensity, the more successful they are and the faster they're growing. there are obviously global SIs out there who have the resources and the bandwidth to compete on a more general level in a lot of ways. You think of some of these large leading SIs out there, but if you're a group like North Labs, right, we're still under 100 folks, but we've carved our way. We're doing the advanced to premier partner dance right now, and we've helped hundreds of companies move tens of millions of dollars into AWS on an annual basis. And it's been because of that specialization and avoiding the temptation of broadening one's reach just because you have an immediate opportunity to do so, because it means that you need to start making a more focused effort on growing that if it's going to be a worthwhile investment, and so on and so forth. But we see it all the time. So for North Labs, the specialization started out of necessity. I started as one person, one software engineer with AWS certs who was gaga about this space, and I delivered what I was able to deliver by myself. And now listen, I am not a superstar software engineer by any means, especially not anymore. But it was finding those opportunities where I felt well aligned to be able to really put my best foot forward in terms of customer obsession. And we've seen that snowball over the years. Obviously, we've broadened a little bit as we brought on more data engineers with, who hold PhDs and, folks who work in the federal space. But it, started out of necessity, and now it's persists, due in part to the, deliberate design.
So if I may, Patrick, prior to joining AWS some years back, I had the opportunity, I was leading a sales for a larger SI that's in the AWS APN. And, our backs were against the wall in terms of access to good quality resources. And I had the opportunity to really get hooked up with JeffersonFrank. And Patrick, I got to tell you, all the resources that we acquired from you folks to lead projects, as well as sub and various other ones, were outstanding, absolutely incredible. I'm just curious, how did you two hook up? Can you just give us a little background on that? Because this is pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really is when Collin says customer obsession. My experience of working with North Labs and Collin is that it is nothing short of that. And we first started working together just in a more transactional manner. Client needing resourcing. But to Collin's point of specialization, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think he realized that we specialize in this space, and we could really help add some value to his organization and to the projects that greatly increase the adoption and project success. And it started moving into a more formal partnership centered around preferential rates and preferential positioning, and we became North Labs exclusive resourcing agency. Because that's what we specialize in, and they specialize in the project part, so we let them do that. So we've been able to stay in our lanes and actually have continued to mushroom that out because North Labs and Jefferson, we both agree that there's only so much you can do, and if there's somebody else that has a solution, there's nothing wrong with that. And there's so much to cloud. To Collin's point, we are in the very early adopting stage. So if we can just get it in there, even if it's just a simple infrastructure migration, DevOps will come, hopefully data comes, security. And by introducing, ISVs such as us, or even other tech partner solutions that North Labs works with, we know that we can enhance the customer experience and really grow out the customer from an advisory standpoint, which is what Collin was telling me about earlier. And this is where I'm not going to steal his thunder. I'm going to kick it back over to him. But it really everything that we're doing now is centered around marketplace, in the interest of making it easier for customers to procure the resources, centralized billing. EDP commitment reduction where necessary, just customer obsession, and we're looking to do it all via CPPO and continue to build on that, and fold in all the different specializations that we can to provide the best experience in the channel that we can.
So,
and Collin,
yeah,
sorry.
let me just kind of bring it back to that then, Patrick, because you bring up a resource, a tool that you're leveraging in order to make it easier for customers to consume cloud. And also, you provide a resource for your customers, our partners, to leverage your ability to provide resources to deliver. So, the great thing about what the internet has allowed us to do is it eliminates borders. It eliminates a lot of restrictions that kept people from being able to do some of the things that you are doing right now. There is no need for a brick and mortar type company where you have to build a lot of infrastructure, get a lot of people in one location, and then hang a shingle and get to work. You can do global business, leveraging skills that can be delivered through a 32-inch monitor and a keyboard. And the only limitation you've got is access to the people that can actually do that work. And what you both have managed to do is provide a resource that allows you to stay in your swim lanes, do what you're good at. Why would we expect anybody to be an expert at all of the things it takes to become a large company? Why not leverage each other's resource so that you can get better at what it is that you're doing? So the question I've got is, really, how did you guys get together? And Collin, it looks like maybe you were looking for some of that to help you succeed as you were building your business.
We absolutely were. When push came to shove, we started growing and immediately had more opportunity than we did resources to serve that opportunity. And that's just, again, it's by virtue of executing correctly and with customer obsession in mind. And I knew from day one that we were going to be very deliberate and invest very heavily into our different strategic alliances at North Labs, knowing that, I'm certainly not the guy to say that I'm good at everything. I'm good at very little. But cloud computing is maybe one of them at this point. But when it came down to it, we had manifests from customers in terms of what they were looking to build out as an organization. And we knew that we were best suited to serve as the high-level advisory first SI in the engagement. And we can touch on that more later. But we knew that in terms of filling those gaps from a resourcing perspective, we would be years out and millions of dollars away from coming anywhere close to what Pat and his team have already built. And so that really helped grease the skids in terms of me reaching out from an executive capacity and saying, look, we know you guys are the best. We've heard from other folks. We've asked around. There are several players in the space doing that, but JeffersonFrank has clearly staked their claim as the de facto option as far as pretty much anyone in my network is concerned. So I reached out and said, we've got a lot more of this coming. Everyone's hiring, and we need your reach, your subject matter expertise in this particular domain to help us truly be the best we can. Because let's face it, we're all getting opportunity because we're in the middle of a skills crisis in cloud. I think the end of year statistic was something like for every 100 cloud engineering openings in America, there's one underqualified applicant. And I wholly believe that. And we're going to do a lot to catch up from an internal, upskilling perspective and things like that. But the fact of the matter is the magnitude is so large that you need deep subject matter experts, not just on the consulting side, but especially on the talent side, to help you really determine who's going to be best suited to fill those gaps. Because not only are we going through an IT revolution, we're doing so with a drastic absolute shortage of people who are capable of doing the work, right? So it's a double-edged sword more than we've maybe ever seen in IT before. And so that's again, going back to that point of specialization, it was a no-brainer for me. I knew I would never be able to come close to what Pat and his team can do. And, let's face it, I'd much rather leave it to experts and make the end customer result that much better.
I mean, it is a little scary when you think about what we've got in terms of a crisis, right? The actual word itself makes you feel alarmed, but the crisis is that we don't have all the skills that we need for the growth that's coming, which sounds like a gold rush to me. I mean, what a great opportunity to skill up and go after these opportunities, knowing that there's an enormous mountain of this ahead of us. And I really get excited thinking about it because we are really right at the beginning of this adoption phase. And the figures that I've been hearing over the last couple of weeks at our own sales kickoff is like 4% of IT that is done in the world is in the cloud. 4% is nothing. And we have a great opportunity to really take advantage of that if we end up working together. And so it's no surprise why you're approaching your business this way. And the question I've got is, what specifically have you done to show that it's been successful for you? Do you have a story that you can share about how quickly you were able to get engaged and start operating this way?
Oh man. Yeah. Pat, let's pick one. I mean, we have groups, particularly so at North Labs, we work primarily with high growth, high tech, and we work with organizations in highly regulated industries, sometimes a combination of the two. And, we've been in circumstances for very large, I'm talking, unicorn, $1 billion valuation, health IT startups who have come to us. It's fairly common, actually. We get approached a lot by organizations who have tried to go it themselves. They've gone down the road by themselves, and they've come to a point of inflection where they've gone, oh man, we'd better hit pause really quick, or go and get some domain experts, because the foundation on which we've built this skyscraper is not going to hold it much longer. And that's the catch-22 of the cloud, right? It's never been easier to build ROI and build value than with the cloud, period. Right. And so what we often see as sort of a chapter 1 initiative with these organizations is massive investment toward delivering features and products, but not taking the time to dive in from a foundational perspective and setting up a cloud center of excellence and setting up your continuity plans. And so we had a $1 billion company come to us and say, we think we're in rough shape. Can you help us determine if that sentiment is true? And when we opened the hood, we went, oh boy, we're a couple button clicks away from disaster here. We need to get some foundationally savvy resources in here right now to help strengthen this. Because this is not just, you're not just operating a website. We're talking about health IT here. We're talking about patient information, and we're talking about all of the considerations that those workloads come with. So it was one of the many times when I blew up Patrick's cell phone, as opposed to going through more official routes, and said, hey man, what do you got? Because we need it. We need all of it, right? Send us your best right now. And, as what we've come to realize, they came through in less than 12 hours. We had all of the capacity requirements filled from a personnel standpoint, and we were able to take them and onboard them into the customer and begin delivering value the same day, right? Not the next day, not a week later, the same day. And so it's a testament to the network that Patrick's helped build within JeffersonFrank. But that's one of many examples. I've been around for a lot of the talent that's been placed, with JeffersonFrank over the last, say, 2 years, Patrick. And it's always that way. Responsiveness, customer obsession, and really great end value.
And just to add something in, Collin, you make it sound like we're doing all the work. I mean, we wouldn't even be anywhere close to this if, Collin and his team, just weren't the experts that they are. Having that ability to assess the customers, every project that we have ever worked on with Collin, we haven't had a single contractor say anything but just glowing reviews about North Labs as an organization. And same thing on the customer side. They come in, they know what they're doing, and they really just make our job easy. We toss a few people over. They do all the hard work. I just want to be clear with that.
Yeah, no, really, I think this is a great story. The power of partnering really is taking customer obsession to the next level. I'm actually a little confused as to why it isn't happening more, right? It's almost as if it's too easy. People don't believe it because it seems like it's too ripe with opportunity. But, the question I've got here is, first and foremost, I think people are nervous about even being put into a position to succeed. They're not thinking big enough. What they're doing is limiting themselves by not reaching out and asking for help. So the question I've got is, first, how do these large opportunities or large customers even find out how to reach you, Collin? What's your marketing plan? And secondly, when they do reach out to you and you're able to engage, what is it that they're looking for from you first? Are they looking for something that you've already done before, or are they looking for you to understand what their problem is and then make a decision?
Yeah, both good questions. To be honest with you all, North Labs has grown to what it is today almost entirely off of word of mouth. We started an outbound sales initiative about 12 to 18 months ago, but most of our pipeline has been word of mouth referrals from other customers, from strategic alliances like Pat and JeffersonFrank, or sellers within AWS, just because the trust has been established. So we're just now getting started on the inbound side of things and trying to be more sophisticated that way. But the way we approach relationships at North Labs is a little bit different than I think a traditional SI. We are what I call an advisory first SI. And so the contrast to a sort of a standard way of life in the SI space, because I've been around it a long time, is you go in and you hunt very large opportunities and try and land that whale, right? But what I've found is that we're most successful and our customers are most successful when we set the precedent of global advisory from day one, meaning not just working on this need you've identified over in the corner somewhere, but really being able to go up a few rungs on the ladder and take a sort of a complete picture of everything that's going on. We used to treat customer engagements like they were all one-off, maybe call them special snowflakes, right? Very individualized needs, very particular. But what we found over the course of the last several years is that 90% of customers really need very similar things. They might have different project initiatives, DevOps pipelines, standing up a data lake, using IoT streaming, something like that. But in terms of their cloud maturity, which is the end goal from any executive standpoint, they all need the same thing. They're all trying to figure out how to segment their accounts, how to tag resources, how to take advantage of the different cost mechanisms available to them in AWS with savings plans, reserved instances, batch computing, that sort of thing, serverless, all that, and then diving into the facilitation of those different projects. And so what they ask for initially in the first call versus what we help them determine they actually need are sometimes a little bit different. But at the end of the day, every single organization is going through some learning process around what it means to be cloud mature. And we want to be that first line of communication to help them set that plan, as opposed to yeah, we'll go and migrate 1,000 boxes for you and do great from a revenue perspective, but leave you hanging in terms of your ongoing cloud maturity. I would rather have a fewer number of customers that keep us around for the life of the company, as opposed to going and winning some big bang migration deals just because it looks good on a P&L. So, it goes back to this crawl, walk, run approach that I talk about relentlessly within North Labs. Start small, deliver value, shorten the amount of time to initial value delivered for a customer. And if you do that, the trust actually grows exponentially, and you get the keys to more projects, as opposed to keeping a tight grip on things and thinking about it in a vacuum. And that involves bringing in other customers, right? We love to bring in other partners. We love to bring in other partners because it helps fulfill that end mission of decreasing time to initial value and having a better overall approach to a problem. And that's really, I think, what we're going to touch on today too. But, Pat and I love to use the marketplace, CPPO, offers, and really putting together what we call solution stacks around different consulting partners and different ISVs. Because if you have North Labs helping lead the charge, that's great. But there are other specialty groups out there who can deliver, certain deliverables even better than us. And so, that's really how we like to approach these customer conversations, because it makes the customer so much happier. It allows them to really, see their investment come through. And with that comes trust, comes referral, comes business growth. And
well, you've actually just kind of segued into the direction I thought that this was leading, and I'm glad that it's gone this way, because you're talking about leveraging tools to make it easier for partners to work together, partners to work with AWS, and customers to consume. And I think for the people that are listening to this, when we throw out terms like marketplace and CPPO, it's hard for them to understand what those are. But as I understand it, the CPPO is a consulting partner private offer that is delivered through, let's just face it, this is AWS, this is Amazon for web services in the cloud. It's a marketplace where people can buy technology and services and wrap it all up in a billing package that solves problems for them in either industry or workload specific, you name it, it can be delivered. And I think that both partners on the technology side, like an ISV or a resource provider, recruiter like a Frank Group, aligning with North Labs as the consulting partner, now, global advisory partner, you can help point those customers to ready-made solutions that you yourselves have already put together with delivery capability and make it simple. How has that been working for you, putting those packages together?
Truth be told, we're definitely in the earlier stages of it. I mean, it's something that Collin and I have been doing, between North Labs and Jefferson now, for over a year. But our real focus over the last 3 months and moving into FY21 is to take this customer obsessed approach and add that marketplace layer to it. Because if anybody takes one thing from this call, is that marketplace is a very, very powerful tool that enables customers to procure your solutions in a meaningful, simplistic manner. And we want to take and package that value that Jefferson has, that North Labs has, but invite as many of the different other ISVs to join that and provide a larger selling initiative, and making sure the customers are evaluating every single option. And with North Labs being that chief advisory, they'll have the ability to really help customers on their cloud journey. And even if it's a security product right now that isn't a fit, it might be in 6 months. So get prepared, raise that awareness, get the relationship set up, because there's a lot of power in a good partnership like we have with North Labs.
How do either one of you envision customers using Marketplace? Is it going to be a one-stop shop for them where they don't even need to talk to a partner before they end up buying a solution? Or are you going to use it as a way to direct your customers to solve the problems they have once you've identified what they've got and make it just a better vehicle for them to consume it?
I think it's going to be a little bit of both. I think there's going to be some customers who self onboard and do the exploration in that capacity. But for us, it is a delivery vehicle, and the reason why is it allows you to have one procurement instrument within the organization for all of these different services. So when you talk about several different tools, you talk about different consulting offers and anything like that. Not to mention that you can come to an agreed upon price with all of those different vendors, and so we like to go to bat and haggle a little bit and get a discount for our customers. But when you talk about the operations and the nuances that take time around a procurement vehicle within a large organization, you can do it all really on with one effort. It's getting billed through your AWS bill. That payment's already on file. It's already cleared through your different procurement officers, and so it really does help speed up adoption. Sometimes the biggest obstacle to tool adoption within an organization is just that it takes too long to establish someone as a vendor. So if an ISV, if a consulting partner already has the green light from Amazon, it makes it a whole lot easier for the buyer at these enterprises to say, okay, we can trust that they are who they say they are, that we're going to get what they say we're going to get, and move forward, toward delivering on that end solution, as opposed to, hanging out in that void of space, waiting for approval.
So, what's interesting, Chip, how does this help our sellers leverage this tool too? Because now there's another piece that I think we're missing, right? Which is, how do the sellers engage with our partners and Marketplace? Chip, do you have any opinion on that?
Yeah, put a metric on it.
Yeah.
Well,
which there is. But I think it's an excellent question. One of the things that I'm thinking about, Patrick, you really alluded to the fact that you're in the earlier stages of leveraging this really new approach to market, using a marketplace. And I'm just curious, over the past year, if you'd be willing to share, if you could share any percentages with us in terms of how has this shown up in the business, your business, percentage wise, reflecting growth and your transformation to alternative ways to market.
Absolutely. And real quick before jumping into that, just to kind of piggyback off of Mike's question about how to engage maybe consulting partners and technology partners. We also now, there's the professional service marketplace. So it makes every possible solution there. And that when the reason I'm bringing this up is because when we heard about the professional service marketplace, we wanted to make sure that we figured out how to incorporate that. Our marketplace journey here at Jefferson has been been going on for about 18 months. Last year, even with COVID, we probably increased our marketplace transactions by about 300%. But it was very slow in the I'd say middle Q2, Q3 is to be expected. But we've seen a massive uptick in Q4, and already in Q1, we are looking at probably 50% of what we did all of last year, and we're only a month and by the end of February, and we'll be 2 months into the year. So we've definitely seen a major a major uptick in adoption. To your points around the actual singular procurement vehicle, it's becoming a more common tool, and more customers are learning to use it, and they're realizing just the breadth of the catalog that is in there, that you could really start to turn to it for just about everything. We're still trying to convince people there are recruiting services in the marketplace, and that it is technical, but that's a whole separate conversation. Your typical data solutions and everything, they're there. but we've continued to invest in our marketplace strategy because we know that that's where the customers like to be. And we have a case study of a enterprise Fortune 500 agricultural company that it took us about an entire month just to convince or have their procurement figure it out. And then once they did, they actually came back to the marketplace team after the fact and stating, "Oh, this is great. We'd like to buy more things through marketplace." A lot of times it's that customer education piece that we're focusing on. The second that we get through that, it really starts to go.
Yeah, that's the actual crux of all of it is education. There's so much out there to learn that I think people get a little deer in the headlights and they stall in making a decision. They actually stop and don't do anything. And that paralyzation, it comes at their own peril because they're not taking advantage of technologies that will allow them to just be better at their jobs, solve their customers' problems more, and be more efficient so that they can be around to continue to support their customers. And it's certainly a journey. And I think what you guys have touched on with this partnership is you're not doing it alone. You don't have to be the only person out there on an island. You're out there with a group of other people all going to the same location, and everybody's got a part to play. And I think that's really the culture that AWS is helping to provide, and it's the way that people are going to start leveraging the cloud. They're going to look for the pioneers and the people who helped bridge that gap and then bring the rest of the organizations or the rest of the people out there to see the truth that they've been able to find. And, for me, having these conversations is really exciting because on the surface, it sounds like a no-brainer, but we know how hard it is to do it because it is almost too easy to think of. And when you do something and you realize that it's difficult to do, how do you stop yourselves from stopping? What keeps you going? And that part of this conversation is how do you motivate each other and how do you motivate the people on your teams to not stop, not quit, to keep going?
Yeah, imposter syndrome happens, right? I talk about that with the groups I advise. It's those things where it's like the cloud moves. It's so broad and it's so deep and it moves so fast. I mean, I've been in this game for a long time, and I wake up some mornings, I'm like, I don't know anything about the cloud anymore. It's far surpassed, my own capabilities. Or I sit and talk with, my engineers in meetings, and things will just sail right over my head. And I go, man, I swear I was a software engineer at one point. I swear I was fully certified at one point. But, it's about this, I think, this greenfield opportunity we have within IT right now that really keeps me going and it gets my people fired up. We're going through a new revolution within enterprise as far as it relates to the cloud. You touched on it, Mike. I mean, if you take Gartner at face value, they say something like 94% of enterprises are cloud-based. Well, that's talking about using Salesforce or Office 365 or something like that for business enablement tools. When you talk about who's moved legacy IT workloads or built new workloads on the cloud, that number is actually like 20%. But if you analyze who's done it right, it's fewer than 25% of that cohort. So we're talking about less than 5% of the market having made a deliberate shift toward the cloud. So for me and my team, it's about, how we're just starting to see this take form. It's taken me 13 years to get here. I used to get chased out of boardrooms with pitchforks and torches when I brought up the notion of cloud computing, right? People would go, we'll never be on the cloud. And now they, consume massive amounts of resources. So, I think it's that sort of, it's the art of the possible. It's the greenfield exploration that really goes a long way to keeping, my team and me going on a daily basis. And I know, Patrick probably thinks similarly.
Patrick, anything you want to add to that?
Really a lot, really just echoing what Collin said. The fact that it's such a, how would I describe it? It's such an immense opportunity, and we've actually had some of our own due diligence done in regards to Gartner and the adoption of it, and where it's going. It's just that's what keeps me motivated. Is that every single time you think you've accomplished something, you just kind of like look up and realize how tall the mountain actually is, and you've just you've barely made it. I don't even think we're at the base camp yet. So the continued opportunity and just the innovation that is coming out of it is definitely what keeps me motivated, and I would say the same for my team.
Yeah, the challenge that I think we all run into is, when you can see something in the distance and that it's within reach, you just get this burst of energy, and it doesn't last very long because you realize it's still pretty far away. You still got a lot of stuff that you need to do. And frankly, I feel like people quit way, way, way too early because they're expecting not to fail a little bit along the way. It's not always a direct route to that mountain that you see in the distance. There's peaks and valleys that you got to get over. You've got cliffs that you have to avoid. And I feel like people have an unrealistic expectation of what it takes to succeed. And it's not the first time that you do it. It's how many times you keep at it, keep kind of finding different avenues around the particular problem that's in front of you that will give you the energy and the feeling that it's possible. And then you redefine what you find is impossible. And I think you've actually done the right thing by doing it together because you each shoulder a load, and two organizations actually will become bigger than the sum of its parts because you're seeing it from multiple different viewpoints. And it always feels better when you've got somebody in the trenches with you. I like to end these conversations I have with you guys by asking a couple of questions. And one question that I like to ask is, when it comes to, doing hard things, people either choose to do hard things or they choose to do things that they don't realize are hard. But either way, there's a choice that needs to be made. And you really have to think about what it is that you're going to be doing. And I'll just put you guys on the spot and ask each one of you, is there something hard that you've got planned for your next thing? It could be personal or it could be professional. What do you guys have on the calendar that you think is going to be hard for you to do?
Oh man. Well, I'm a bit of a masochist, so I think every element of my life is built around struggling a little bit. But as far as business is concerned, we've had a great time building out our proprietary tool Tenacity this last year. We use it alongside our advisory services for automated cloud management and things like that. And so there's growth initiatives to tackle that are very different from running a consulting firm, right? When you're talking about from the lens of a SaaS company. So on a business side, that's one thing. We're obviously scaling as a group. North Labs is already 10 times larger than the last APN firm I ran. So, I have to pretend every day like I know what I'm talking about, and my team helps call me out on that stuff. So lots of learning to continue there as well. But yeah, personal side, it's we were talking earlier. I just recently moved to Arizona, and I fly and I play golf as my two hobbies. And those are sort of pursuits of endless perfection, of, realizing that you're never going to perfect it.
Right.
And I think that's, that just goes into it, right? You still try, but you'll never quite get there. No one can ever be perfect at either of those things. And so that's always on the menu too.
Well, what's your handicap?
Well, we're in the low double digits right now, but I am working with the swing coach, and I want to get to scratch. That's my goal. Certainly not this year, certainly not next year, but sometime within the next several years.
That's an excellent goal. All right, I'm hoping that you're going to hit that, and I'd like to help you do that too.
Thanks, Mike.
Patrick, what about you?
I think professionally there's two major pieces. One is to really over this next 12 months knit together as much of this marketplace. I know we didn't cover too much of it, but anybody that knows me knows that sometimes when I start speaking about it, it sounds like gibberish. So it's to translate that and socialize it into more of a norm. Partnering with Collin and other technology partners to show that this is the way forward.
Before you go on to that, Patrick, I think you actually identified one of the most difficult things to do, which is simplify a difficult message. And I would love to see you succeed in that, because I think all of us are looking for a way to simplify how it is that we can come and consume cloud.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's going to be, it's now a biased action for us to pull it off. I'm feeling pretty good about it. I don't think it's going to be easy, but it's either way, I think it'll be fun, with a partner like Collin and North Labs. And personally, I have two toddlers, and I'm currently under about 3 feet of snow. So I'll start with getting dug out, and then the toddlers are definitely going to keep me busy. I would like to echo Collin's golf pursuit, but I don't think I'm going to get anywhere close there. I'm not exactly low double digits, so just have some fun playing. So whenever we can all get together, seeing people again, that's a personal goal.
It's a noble pursuit, Patrick, and good luck with the two toddlers. I've got 3 that are not toddlers anymore, but I see them just as the little kids that they were, and you've got a lot of excitement ahead of you. Chip, what about you, bud? How are things going?
Oh, things are great, guys. Today was a big day. Musk, 1.5 billion in Bitcoin, starting to accept it. CME, I guess, is now accepting and trading Ethereum, which is incredible. Guys, prediction, marketplace. When are we going to accept Bitcoin? Seriously.
I don't know. I'm sure it's coming in some capacity, but I am, like I said before, Chip, I'm a jack of only about one trade, and crypto is not one of them. I'm going to stick to cloud computing to keep you guys happy.
I'm with you, Collin.
Love it. Hey, thank you guys very, very much. It was wonderful.
Thanks, Chip.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everybody.